Ocala Talks. On a Monday, it is June 20th. It's the national holiday for Juneteenth. There, I said it. It was an hour and a half into the show, but I gave it up. My position on Juneteenth is well documented. I believe it's a holiday that should not be celebrated. I believe the announcement of the Emancipation Proclamation should be celebrated as a national holiday before a Union general arriving in Galveston is celebrated as a national holiday. So that's just my opinion. Speaking of opinions, I have one of the most opinionated people I've ever met in my life in the room right now. It's probably because she's Italian. Probably has a lot to do with it.
I feel like that's not a compliment.
Oh, it's what one would call a backhanded
compliment.
Sue Mosley joins us. Sue, good morning.
Good morning, Tom. How are you? It's been a while since I've been out into your lovely palatial studios at the airport.
You know, we keep because of conflicts of our schedules. We don't get to do this much as we usually do, but it's getting to be election season, so we're going to start doing it more.
Are we?
We're going to do your show.
We're going
to do your show next Monday.
We are? Okay.
Going to do basically the same, topic, just without uglier. FCC rules.
Just uglier.
Without FCC
Uncensored.
rules. Yeah.
Just
Uncensored.
A non-politically correct show.
But the deadline period to sign up for public office passed last Friday at noon.
Came and went.
No surprises, really.
No, just a lot of more of the same. It's the year of the incumbent now, isn't it?
It really is the year of the incumbent. We got
the incumbent.
Kathy Bryant, Commissioner Kathy Bryant, and Commissioner Carl Zalek are going for their fourth term.
Yeah, 16 years. Wow.
I know. I tend to think that they're doing a much better job now than they were doing 8 years ago.
Really? What are they doing? Tell me.
Well, I think the county's running better than it was 8 years ago. Of course, we were in an economic downturn 8 years ago.
Yeah.
But
we're about to be in another one.
Well, thanks, Joe Biden.
We're on the cusp.
But I do know that a lot of people are saying, I've heard the questions, if you couldn't accomplish it in 12 years, what are you going to get accomplished in 16?
Exactly.
And I hear a lot of people say that.
Well, I'm a firm believer in term limits.
So am I.
8 years is enough. You can't, I served for 8 years, and the reason why I stepped down off the school board was because I felt like I did all that I could do. I didn't have any fresh ideas after 8 years. I became very comfortable with staff. They became friends. You didn't want to go against staff then. It was a little harder to chastise and ridicule and correct. And you just become ineffective after more than 8 years.
George Washington thought 2 terms was good enough. Good enough for George Washington. It should be good enough for everybody.
That's right.
I firmly believe that, although there are no term limits in Allen County Commissioner.
And there should be.
School board. I don't disagree with that. But right now it is the season of incumbent. You have the 2 county commissioner incumbents, but then the school board. 2 incumbents are deciding not to run on the school board.
Yeah.
One is an incumbent in name only because he never won an election. He was appointed. But if he had missed the email, he might never have known.
So technically, there were 2 open seats because Kelly King, although she did not technically formally announce she wasn't going to run, she just didn't qualify.
She just didn't qualify.
So there were 2 open seats, and really you usually see 4, 5, 6 people going after open seats, but there was just no interest.
None.
And why is that?
I don't understand, because the school board is the largest budget in Marion County.
Well, and not just for the school board, but there was very little interest in any of these races.
I think people, here's what I think. I think people have very little respect for the process right now.
Or they have no idea of the process. And then, we've talked about this and we've laughed about it, where people have always said, when we ask them, well, why are you running? Well, so-and-so asked me.
And I want to help.
That's a platform. Yeah. It's like, what made you come, wake up this morning and decide you were going to run for office? And somebody asked me. Somebody said I'd be good. How many times do you hear that? And it's like.
By the way, I asked somebody to run for city council.
Yes, you did.
And when asked, roped me into that. I did. And when asked, they would say, well, Tom came to me and asked.
Yeah.
And then I figured if God put it in my purview to do.
Right. So they basically what they're doing is passing the buck. Instead of saying, well, it's something I've always wanted to do, But then they get out there they stick their little baby toe into the political pool 15 minutes after they qualify.
And find out that 102 degrees ain't where they're at.
They panic. They just quiver and cower, and only the strong survive.
By the way, kudos to Keith Poole and Rachel Sams, because they dipped their toe in the water a long time ago, and they're still there.
Well, and they did it the right way. They came out early enough, January, February. You get these people waiting till last minute. One of my big, huge pet peeves with the unions and other organizations when they give out endorsements before qualifying, because legitimate candidates do come out right at the 11th hour. Elizabeth Delzato was a great example of that. And then, she got a little bit overwhelmed because endorsements had already been given out and posturing had already occurred. I mean, the girl just announced this morning she raised $80,000 in a month for her campaign. She could have been a very viable opponent for Kathy Bryant for the first time in a long time. And, we would have had a little change. $80,000 in a month. That is some political strength right there. You don't see people raising $80,000. Rachel and Keith haven't raised $80,000 in 5 months they've been in.
I got to ask you a question. You won your first time with the school board in 2004? 2002. You did 8 years, so that took you to 2012.
Right.
I remember because I was working for you, when you got off the school board, I was working at
I was still on
2010,
the school board.
actually. 2010. You were still on the school board. I was working for you, and we'd watch the school board meetings before we get the night started.
At the bar that I owned.
Right. Yeah. Gracie's Cougar Lounge.
The bar, school board member, bar owner, it goes hand in hand.
By the way, Dooley's, fantastic bar. Bogart's, Tommy. And then Gracie's Cougar Lounge. It was a good spot. It was
fun. We had a good time.
So, so you then you got out of it. You got out of election, being an elected official, but you stayed in the game. Now it's 2022. For the first time since I met you, and the first time I feel like since 2002, Sue Mosley didn't get involved this year.
No, I didn't.
You do your forum and everything. You do your show. But you stayed out of the arena of being a
I'm not consulting with a candidate. I'm not working with anybody. I'm not helping anybody. Although I keep getting accused of it.
We talk about how candidates didn't want to get involved this time. What is it about a person who, for the last 20 years, this has been what you do every election season? What was it that made Sue Mosley go, not this time?
Well, I was one of those people that I didn't have to be asked to run. I woke up and decided this was something I wanted to do because I wanted change, because my kids were in school, public school. I was a firm believer in public school, and I think we needed some change. So I'm the kind of person that's going to get out and do the work. If I'm going to talk the talk, I'm going to walk the walk. This go round, to be honest with you, wasn't like I wasn't really going to. Had somebody really outstanding come around, I would have.
So if I'd have ran for office, you'd have run.
I really wanted to get involved with Elizabeth Delzato. I'm very disappointed that she didn't see it all the way through. I probably I would have stayed involved helping her. But there wasn't anybody that really turned my crank enough to get me out of bed, so to speak.
So if she'd have run, we'd have started a southern version of the Italian civil rights.
Because the Italians got to stick together. I heard an Italian was coming out. I was all excited. I was like a full-blooded one. Those are my people. Those are my people.
Right now, I just.
And Italian in the concrete business, no less.
No less.
Those are just my people.
Concrete and sanitation.
Yes, well, I had a concrete business for 30 years.
30 years
so,
you did.
Yeah.
It just seems like some people just have election hangover.
Yeah.
They just don't.
Well, it's getting so nasty. Social media has done it, and I have a large group of haters that are vicious. And,
you do.
And they take it out on people that are running that I have nothing to do with, which is sad. They're trying to inflict their hatred for me on anybody they can hurt that may or may not be associated with me, which is pretty funny.
Let's take a break, and when we come back, I want to talk about that aspect that's changed the game, the social media aspect that has changed how elections from here on out are going to be run as long as social media is as powerful as it is. We're talking with Sue Mosley. We'll be right back up this time out. You're listening to Ocala Talks, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM. WOCA, The Source.
Nirvana Medical Spa is Ocala's premier medical spa, home to a variety of non-invasive corrective laser treatments and facials. Besides filler, neurotoxin, laser hair, we offer PRP, tattoo removal, body contouring, vaginal rejuvenation, urinary incontinence, and men's sexual health. Become a better, brighter, happier you at Nirvana Medical Spa.
Good credit,